Williamson is 10 times the world champion. Bax and Stupilis, they've done it again. Unbelievable. Marvin van Luckenen certainly deserves the red plate. And what an incredible sport this is. Fast, high and spectacular. Unbelievable.
Hello and welcome again to our growing audience of friends and fans of World Sidecar Motocross. It's hard to believe we're only 40 minutes from Brussels, the capital of Belgium. We're in GOOIK, a pretty old town, but not far away is the Hofte Vineyard, the vineyard circuit, and that is where we're headed.
This weekend, World Sidecarcross Championship returned to Belgium for GP12 in GOOIK. This was a new track and it was very different from what he had seen all season. On quali day we had only 31 teams present, the day was very hot and the fight for the best gate picks wasn't easy. Race day we saw some fantastic racing, the grid was packed and teams fought very hard. With only 2 more GPs to go, World Championship was in its final stage and Van Luckenen needed a great result on his home ground to keep his title hope alive. Did he succeed? Well, stay here and find out for yourself, but let's start with a recap.
We were in Switzerland just 1 week ago where it all went wrong for Arne Djerkins and Robbie Bax.
Yeah, we made a good start. We started second and then on the first big double jump we could pass for the lead and we were comfortable the whole half lap, and then we take the second one below, and when we come at the end I think a stone came into the front wheel and it blocked and we go big crash.
Red plate holders Etienne Bax and Casper Stupilis had to get this one right, and they did.
Winning motos by 1-1 is the best you can do on the weekend, and gives you also the best feeling. You know, you have the feeling that you were the best that weekend, and then that's the goal always.
So coming into this, it's a 71-point lead for Bax over Van Luckenen. 6 races to go then. Can they pull it back? Well, we shall find out. Hermans Djerkins fighting there for 3rd place. Stuart Brown, Kurt Varick in the running, but way off the pace. They are not going to be champions. Impossible. Daniel Williamson not here again this weekend. Sanderman's going strongly. Gert van Verven not with Peter Bunk. He's out with Kenny Van Galen. Julian Velman in there as well. George Kinge, Lewis Gray. This Belgian vineyard circuit is the 12th stop on our 10-country tour of Europe. 2 more rounds to go, France and Germany, so we stay fairly central to where we are now. But the track, set out in one field, very grassy, very interesting. Somewhere down there is our track expert, Steve Randall.
So welcome to the track walk. This is a brand new track for most of the riders here. The track here is hard pack. It's very grassy. It's not been used before. I'm here with Arne Djerkins, the number 10 machine. So Arne, here this start, fairly important. Whereabouts are you going to start tomorrow?
Yeah, I think all the sidecars are going to begin on the inside and then they go to the outside, but the start is good from the inside to about the middle to make a chance at the whole shot. Maybe if you go 2 gates to the outside of the middle, but not farther because the angle is too big to make it to the first corner. If you have a good start from the inside gate and you are really early in the brakes, you take the inside here, you can go in 2nd or 3rd position to the first lap.
So Arne is the whole shot king. We'll move on to the next part of the track and show you some more. There are not many jumps on this track, but as you can see here, we are on a step down. Important to get out of the turn here to get the drive to make this step down to then drive up this fairly long hill into this next corner.
Yeah, the jump is not that long, but it's like you said, you have a turn here, so you need to have a good acceleration out of the corner, and then yeah, I think it's not the most difficult jump of the year, but it's just you need to have a good acceleration, then you can jump it to the downside of the jump. Yeah.
So this part of the track again is quite critical. You need to get these exit from these corners together, and you need to get the speed, because it is very difficult if you don't. So we'll move on to the next part of the track and we'll show you some more. And we're on a little drop down, little ski jump down into a fairly steepish drop into a right-hander. Now, Arne, it's not a difficult part, but it's still critical and crucial that you get this right.
Yeah, indeed. Also, you have right and left chairs. So for the right, you always go a bit to the outside to make a good corner, like in the karting. And the left, if they are behind you, they can slam into the inside here. So that's a bit the difficulty that you have to know who's behind you. But overall, it's not that difficult here. It's not a big jump, and you can jump free here. So yeah, it's a good part of the track.
Well, this track is very like a typical British Championship circuit, literally mapped out in a field with a few jumps. Any good or what?
Yes, this morning I had quite some problems to adapt to this track, because it's completely different than we used to. And this year we didn't have tracks what look like this actually. So yeah, it was really difficult to find the good rhythm in this track. But I think at this moment it's not too bad, and yeah, hopefully they not water the track as much, because it gets really slippery here, because some parts is with grass and some parts is very slippery. So let's hope they keep the track dry, and we can see some nice racing.
Back in business after injury, the big Dutchman Gert van Verven is out this weekend with Kenny van Galen, but they know each other well.
Well, the feeling of my ankle is okay. I don't feel it that it's a problem, so that's okay. Yeah, the speed is very good, and I'm sorry that I didn't could ride with Peter here because of his injury last week. He broke also his ankle, and yeah, Kenny was willing to step in, and the feeling is really good. I also ride with him last year a race, and the feeling was perfect, and so we have a good match together. And yeah, you can see the speed is there, and second time is it's okay.
After their big crash last weekend, both Arne Dierkens and Robbie Bax are feeling second-hand, so what can they do?
Feeling is not the best we ever have, because the injuries are still a lot in our body, so we try to do our best, and that the feeling is getting better, and especially the most important is on Sunday tomorrow. So we hope we get a good qualifying, so we have a good gate pick for Sunday, but we are trying to do our best.
Qualifying Group A, and Etienne Bax and Casper Stupis had picked a position right over on the far left. It didn't work for them because it was Stuart Brown and Josh Chamberlain who got the whole shot, absolutely flying. Right behind them it was Brett Wilkinson and Ryan Humphrey, the British crews with their left-handed chairs. Bax and Stupilis, though, were quickly up to third behind Brett Wilkinson and Ryan Humphrey. They thought it would be a doddle passing the British pair. It was not the case. Yes, they made their way past, but Brett Wilkinson took the outside line over the jump, got the drive, determined not to lie down and take this one. He moved again past the red plate holders, and all this tussling, of course, gave Stuart Brown and Josh Chamberlain the opportunity to pull away. Wilkinson fought, he and Ryan Humphrey holding the red plate holders at bay, and Etienne Bax knew it would be difficult to pass here. The dust was already kicking up. That was a fear a lot of the crews had. Christoph Sandermans and Kostas Beletskas ahead of Kompolati. Kompolati then fighting off a challenge from the number 5 crew, Julian Veldman and Glenn Janssens, who rode consistently all weekend, but they were not at their sharpest here in GOOIK. Janssens looking over the shoulder to see where the Italian-French pairing of Compilati and Chopin were, and at that point they were behind. Wilkinson still charging, holding off that challenge from Etienne Bax, but this time Etienne Bax and Kasper Stupilis, in they went. That far left start place, not the best choice for them, and a lot of the crews would learn that the gate here was very tricky, and as you will see later in the day, there were several incidents off the line due to the congestion going into the first 2 or 3 turns. Velman and Janssens made their way past the all-red clad Santemans and Beletskas. Christoph Santemans always up there at the sharp end, battles all the way through. At the front though, Brown and Chamberlain, with so much work to do here to consolidate that 5th place and hopefully to go 4th in the standings, fighting hard with a very class act behind them. No one knew better than Stuart Brown how hard Etienne Bax could charge. Bax shadowing the British left-handed sidecar round, picking his moment, sliding through, getting on the inside. There was nowhere for Josh Chamberlain to go. He couldn't get out of the sidecar that time because he was rubbing shoulders with Kasper Stupilis, exchanging aftershave. 3 laps to go, and Etienne Bax and Kasper Stupilis on their way to victory in qualifying Group A, guaranteeing them a good place on the start grid for tomorrow's 2 Grand Prix races. But the question would be, would they make the same mistake and go hard left? It certainly didn't work too well for them in this qualifying race, so maybe there were lessons to be learned there. But Bax and Stupilis once in front, and this track, much to his surprise, actually turned out to be quite rideable and quite raceable. It did cut up though. Even in the early stages there were deep ruts appearing on most of the bends. It would need extensive watering as well overnight because of the amount of dust. There were quite a lot of fears over the degree of dust that might be produced come race day. Here on qualifying, let me tell you, it was 30 degrees. Hot work though, job done for Etienne Bax and Kasper Stupilis in Group Qualifying A. Stuart Brown and Josh Chamberlain obviously showing what they could do here. 13 seconds adrift of the series leaders and red plate holders, Etienne Bax and Kasper Stupilis. And the top 12 go through. There it is. Bax, Brown, Wilkinson, Veldman. Veldman caught up well ahead of Santemans. Compilati ahead of Justin Kerben.
Beginning we find it hard to get the right rhythm. You know, we've never been on this track, so we ride a lot of fast laps in the morning, but that is nothing in compared to a race. And I felt that we did not get much closer, so I thought we need to change our lines, we need to change our way of riding. And once we did that and ride more smooth, we could find the right rhythm and could overtake him and make a nice gap. So I'm satisfied about today, and yeah, this is what I wanted. I wanted the inside start line, and that's what we got now, so happy about today.
Group B qualifying raised a few eyebrows, not least of all because the big bearded Dutchman Gert van Verven took an absolute flyer from the middle, and he slotted in front of Arne Jerkins and Robbie Bax. So the whole shot kings were denied the actual whole shot, but they very quickly made amends going into turn 2 and took the lead. Leading the pack round, 1 or 2 got tangled on turn 2, but Jerkins and Robbie Bax, shrugging off those injuries, pushed hard in the early stages. Dan Foden and Roy Bienoff got tangled up with Smith and Vesselink, and that meant they had to work hard from the back of the pack. They would eventually find themselves in last chance because only the top 12 would go through. Jake Brown and Joe Miller, the number 28 crew in the all-red strip, were really charging in this one. Van Lukener didn't get the best of starts, found himself down in 6th place early into the session, so he and Ben van den Bogart would have to work hard. Following them, Kurt Varick and Loris Dieders. The Kusch cousins, the number 22 crew in the all-distinctive blue and yellow strip, always good starters and always good fighters. Their 4-stroke thumping past Arne Jerkins, Robbie Bax. Those guys, from having the whole shot and leading the race, began to drop backwards because they were both feeling the effects of the pain and hardship they suffered with that big crash in Switzerland the previous week. Gert van Verven got tangled up on the bend, let Van Lukener through. He took 3 places in one hit there, the big Dutchman stalling his number 14 machine. That gave the number 28 British crew, Jake Brown and Joe Millard, the opportunity to close on Christophe and Maxime Couche. Van Lukener was through on them. Jake Brown, though, not having any of it, fought back on the inside and made his way alongside the outgoing, I would say outgoing, the reigning champion. Could be outgoing if he did not get his act together this weekend. Bax and Stupilis, of course, with almost one hand on the title in 2019, and that 71-point advantage coming here to GOOIK. The Couches then ahead of Van Lukener, leading this qualifying Group B race. Christophe and Maxime Couche. Marvin Van Lukener, though, determined to put his stamp of authority on the race, in pursuit and very quickly passed. It was then up to Jake Brown and Joe Millard to close down the number 22 Swiss pairing. I was always this season full of respect for the Couche cousins, and Christophe Couche, of course, enjoying the services of the young Australian Brian Anthony for 2 or 3 rounds due to injury by his cousin Maxime. This the move. Van Lukener on Arne Jerkins, making his way through. Jerkins fighting back, but not for long. Jake Brown then past Christophe and Maxime Couche. Moving then in pursuit. Varick and Didas were out with another mechanical problem, so the Estonian-Latvian pair not having the best of luck here in GOOIK. No mistaking this one though, Van Lukener, Van den Bogart taking it to victory in qualifying Group B, assuring themselves of a great position. Top 12 going through: Van Lukener, Brown, Couche, Van Verven, Jerkins, George Kinge, Lewis Gray. A terrific ride for them, and as we said, Dan Foden out of the top 12. Last chance for him.
Another bad start of us, make it not so easy, but yeah, we win and that's most important. So yeah, we're looking forward for tomorrow.
Last chance with 31 crews here. It was about grid position, and Varick found himself in last chance. Hermans, with reliability problems, found himself in last chance. So some high-profile names here to do battle, to go through, claim their prize money, and get to start in the Grand Prix here in Belgium. This unique sport of world sidecar motocross is predominantly based in Europe, but there are pockets of interest and have been for decades in other parts of the world. Take a look at this. You've heard this phrase many times, the World Sidecarcross Championship, but for decades the series has only really ever taken place on European tracks. Now I've got with me double former world champion Etienne Bax, the man leading the series. I've also got Australian Brian Anthony, and that is something unusual to have an Australian in this series. First of all, Etienne, you've been to the USA on something of an exploratory tour. What's your feeling about sidecar motocross potential in the USA?
Yeah, for sure there's a potential, because we went there start of 2018. We came a little bit on the wrong moment there, because it was 1 week before A1, the Supercross Championship started. So that everybody was very busy with that, and I knew that it was big, but I did not know that it was so big. So yeah, became a little bit unsuspected, but the people loved it, and everybody loved it. We were practicing at several very nice tracks there, and the people were just lying on the ground with the cameras, and we had a whole lot of attention there.
Brian, Australia is even further away, and you've sold your house and home, moved here with your family just to compete in this championship as a passenger. What's the scene like down under?
It's tiny compared to here. It's nothing compares to here really, and it's just 2 worlds away. But it's okay. There's a few people racing still, and there's still motocross, but the tracks and everything are nothing like here. There's no big jumps anywhere on any tracks. There's no big fast tracks. It's very different.
Etienne, you probably know that 4 decades ago, at least 6 crews from Holland and Belgium went on a tour of the USA, mainly Southern California, is fair to say, but met with a great deal of success and had a lot of fun for 6 weeks and partied. Why do you think it didn't kick off from that point?
Yeah, why they didn't kick off from that point, I don't know, because maybe our sport is extremely popular and extreme. It's an extreme sport, but maybe it's not big enough. Big enough to put the foot on the ground there. Although people love it, people are not familiar with this, and I think that is the biggest problem. Second problem is that sidecar bikes are not for sale in regular shops, and that makes it more difficult to start and to maybe get interested in that sport. I think that's the main reason, because my experience was that everybody is very enthusiastic, so that could be another reason to not love our sport.
I think it would be in everyone's interest, your interest, our interest, Brian's interest, to kickstart the sport in those countries. How do we do it? What do we need to do?
We need to. That would be amazing if we could arrange that we have a GP in USA. I think that would be one of the best things could happen. But yeah, of course you need all the teams involved. It will be an expensive trip. I know the prices already now, and you need to find an organization, a club that wants to organize a sidecar GP. And I think if we can make that step and ride a GP over there, I think it will be. I think it will be amazing, and I think the crowd will be open to more of this.
Could we do that in Australia, or is that a step too far?
I think Australia's almost too far, to be honest. It's so expensive to go to Australia, and exactly what Etienne just said about getting your bikes and that, it's hard to get parts in Australia. If it wasn't for Willie Liebel from MIFO, everything would be much harder in Australia. He is the reason that there's so much more in Australia. But a GP, I think we'd need to do a lot of different work on tracks in Australia to make a GP possible. I don't think the tracks are good enough for a sidecar.
I think we can make some step forward, and I'm planning. I want to go back even one more time to USA, and I want to promote the sport there. And I know that there are possibilities there, but you just need to find a way. And hopefully we can say in a couple of 5 years from now that we have a GP in USA. That would be, I think, everybody's dream, isn't it?
How fantastic would that be? Thank you both very much. In the sunshine, it's not all bad though, is it?
It is not bad.
Well done, thanks.
Thank you.
We woke up on race day to a much cooler day, fortunately, because it was blistering hot here yesterday for qualifying, and it brought out a lot of people, the fans coming to see Kelly De Bruyne, local Belgian female star, badly injured but recovered fortunately. Arne Durkins joining the ranks of people, and in the British camp the left-hand shares seem to be going very, very well indeed, not least of all Jake Brown Jr. What a weekend he's having here in Belgium.
Not so bad. This morning was a bit of a struggle really. The track weren't so good for us, but it was, we'll see how we get on in the race. It's a different thing, so I wouldn't say it was better. It never is better, but it's very even. You know, the last few meetings have been quite even really, and it's good, you know, because sometimes we go to some tracks and we haven't got a chance, but these last few tracks, hopefully we'll do well. And this track, it seemed to be good yesterday for all British crews, so
we always aim for a top 5 now. Start of the year it was a top 10, but now I think we're getting a bit greedy. We want a top 5 every weekend, but we'll see what happens, you know.
The British crew's going well here. The track seems to suit the left-handers. Brett Wilkinson, Ryan Humphrey, they've had a dreadful season in terms of injury, but undeterred, he's as fast as ever here, Brett Wilkinson.
Feeling good, just a bit worried about the reliability of the bike today, really. We've had a lot of problems all weekend, and hopefully now we've just sorted it, so it's hard to say really. Most tracks, maybe this has got a little bit more even ground, yeah, but yesterday was good for us, so hopefully today stays the same.
One crew who know exactly what they've got to do, Marvin van Luken and Ben van den Bogart. They'll be pushing as hard as they can. They're going to be a hard crew to catch here in Belgium, home ground for them.
Yeah, we had a good warm-up this morning, so yeah, I think everything going well. So yeah, let's see what the race brings. For sure, we want to be making a good result, so we do our best. I hope for a good start. It's again very important, and the rest we will see.
Well, 30 crews go, that's how they line up. From Group A and Group B, you can see it's Bax, Van Lukener, Brown, he was quick, Jake Brown, his son, they're both going. Look at Brett Wilkinson up there as well. Another left-handed chair, the Kusch cousins, 6th, Julian Veldman, Gert van Verven, Santemans, Arne Jerkins, 10th and 10 on the bike, Compolati, Kinge, Kuban, Tom van der Lagermack going extremely well. Mike Kuban in there too. The French Hamad Adrian Petter, 21st final crew. Sebastian Engelbrecht and Nick Mas. Kern Hermans and Varick came through from last chance. Now those final moments before the race kicks off. Robbie Bax rueing the injuries he collected. He and Arne Jerkins both knocked about from last weekend. The Browns' father and son, 2 metres apart, but surveying the start-finish straight. Everyone doing their gardening, including the supreme Etienne Bax. This last-minute presentation in front of a fabulously enthusiastic Belgian crowd. Into the closing stages. 30 minutes plus 2 laps twice await these guys on this vineyard circuit here in GOOIK. Race 1 lining up. Etienne Bax has moved over one place. Right in the middle is Marvin van Lukener and Ben van den Bogart. That is the place I would have started from, actually. Somewhere near the start box in the middle, and Van Lukener shot into a lead from the start. Compolati went with him round this first turn. You wait and see what happens next. It is unbelievable. But Marvin van Lukener had the most incredible start. And look at that massive tangle. Some big names in there. Feldman's in there. Varick is in there. Kern Hermans is right through the back. The number 27 crew stuck in it as well. That's Gennady Ovray, the Frenchman. Hermans extricating himself while the others are just in such a tangle. Julian Veldman trying to ride over the back of Kurt Varick's passenger. But out in front, away they go. Marvin van Luken and Ben van den Bogart showing a clean pair of heels to Arne Jerkins and Compolati. Then it's the Kusch boys. The Kusch boys having another great start. Time and time again, we've said just how quick they are out of the gate. Gert van Verven in there. Etienne Bax then, trailing the big number 14 Dutchman. Jake Brown and Joe Millard in the all-red distinctive. The number 28 crew, there they are. The British crew, the young Brits, and he's tipped for stardom, I can tell you. Jake Brown, he's improved so much since moving to Holland to learn his craft on the sand and train with the masters. Gert van Verven was having a terrific ride in this opening race. Maxime Kusch, a quick look over the shoulder. They were currently sitting in third place behind Compolati and Bastien Chopin, the Italian-French pairing. Etienne Bax was on their case though, having moved ahead of Gert van Verven, the number 14 crew. Gert van Verven and Kenny van Galen teaming up here. You heard him say at the top of the programme how Kenny jumped in. Peter Bunk still not recovered from his injury. Bax chasing the Kusch cousins. It would only be a matter of time
before the red plate forged ahead of Christoph and Maxime Couche, but they always give a good account of themselves, and race 1 here in GOOIK was no exception. Christoph and Maxime Couche pushing hard. Their left-hand chair would take different lines from the right-handed sidecar that the former champions use. Gert van Verwen then still holding off that challenge from Jake Brown and Joe Millard, the number 28 crew. Stuart Brown was one of the crews caught in that massive tangle, and a whole number of them, Koen Hermans we saw, Julian Veldman we saw, Kurt Barrett we saw, would have to make their way through the traffic, and it would not be easy on this very tight vineyard circuit at GOOIK. Etienne Bax then charging on, but still a great performance from the Couches. He relegated them, and Jake Brown and Joe Millard would be the next crew to go past the Swiss. Arne Djerkins running very, very strongly, but both he and Robbie Bax, for them it was something like damage limitation because they were both struggling with injury, and it's such a shame because Arne Djerkins and Robbie Bax taking victory already this year. We've seen how quickly they can ride, but towards the close of the season, hampered by injury, and it all went wrong for them. So, well, they're going to do the best they can, and as it happened, they were to pick up some respectable points. Zeno Compilati and Bastien Chopin, however, the crew running in second place, were doing an absolutely amazing job. Gert van Verwen and the Couche cousins side by side. Van Verwen riding really, really well here. His four-stroke bike thundering along. Etienne Bax now on the back of Compilati and Bastien Chopin, and that is where the Italian got it wrong. He went wide, put the sidecar wheel in that deep stuff, and Bax threw on the inside. It was as simple as that, like taking candy from a baby. Koen Hermans pulled up, indicating that he'd broken a steering damper, waggling his arms vigorously, and that's exactly what happens when your steering damper breaks. It's impossible to ride the things at any sort of speed with a broken steering damper. Not the first time that's happened to him. Van Lukener, Van den Boogaard, supreme at the front. They had a good lead, something like 8 seconds at this point. Arne Djerkins, well, Gert van Verwen the next man to go past Arne Djerkins and Robbie Bax. They are just limping along injured, gamely fighting back where they can, but the deep ruts cut out make it so hard. Jake Brown and Joe Millard were next to have a good look at the number 10 crew, and it would not be long before they made their way past in pursuit of the number 22 crew, the Couche cousins. Through went Brown and Millard. Up went the left hand, pulled off a tear-off from Jake Brown. This young man does have a very, very bright future. Both of them, in fact. Joe Millard, son of a good friend of mine, a guy that I raced with in the British Support Championship before they made their way onto the Grand Prix scene. Brothers Paul and Mark Millard. Mark Millard is here looking after his son. Compilati then, this jovial, tall, very strong Italian. This is the best ride I've seen Compilati have, and he did himself proud here in Belgium. Same for Van Lukener. They needed to score good points here. They did exactly that. It was the hand in the air from Ben van den Boogaard. Job done for these lads. What more could I say? Brilliant performance. Bax made it through, 4.2 seconds adrift in the final analysis, and it was a first ever race podium for Zeno Compilati and Bastien Chopin. First race podium for either of them, the Frenchman or the Italian driver. They kept the pack at bay. They did all they had to do to bring it home. You could see the pleasure and see how much it meant to them ahead of Van Verwen and Jake Brown, Joe Millard. They were pleased as well. Confirmation confirmed. Van Lukener, Bax, Compilati. That's the top three. Van Verwen, Jake Brown, Julian Veldman. Brilliant ride from that melee at the start. Van Lukener can count his lucky stars. He was clear of that.
It's crazy. Like I say, normally we take a bad start and now we take the whole shot, and you see the race is so much easier, and yeah, we can control the whole race, and yeah, we're looking forward for the second one.
We saw Kelly De Bruyne in the riders' presentation. The most successful lady Sidecarcrosser ever, scoring points in Grand Prix, was badly injured in a Belgian championship, but she's back here, she's recovered, and she's watching.
At the Belgian Championship, we make a small crash, and the bike fell on me, completely in my belly, and I had a torn liver, I had 5 broken ribs, I had 2 punctured lungs and 3 broken vertebrae. So yeah, that happened. I'm happy I'm outside because I was 2 weeks in hospital, and looking on 4 walls is not the funniest thing you can do. First of all, my goal is to get my health back, and then we'll see.
What a tough girl, absolutely brilliant. So we wish Kelly all the best. Planning now for race 2 here. Everybody mindful of what can happen going into that first and second turn. It is such a short start straight. Race 2 is around the corner. Nerves, pulses racing. Can they stay clear of trouble? Can they get a good result? Brett Wilkinson brought it home in the top 10 last time. Can he do better this time out? Compilati first ever podium. Seconds ticking away. Van Lukenen, 1 win already, stole some points from Bax and Stupilis. It was 30 minutes plus 2 laps again for these boys. Closest to us, Brett Wilkinson, Ryan Humphrey got a cracker. Van Lukenen in the middle, got a bit boxed in. Jake Brown got a good start, but it was the whole shot kids. Arna Jerkins and Robbie Bax, the number 10 crew, who hit the front, and now down to this right-hander. Would they all get round safely? Right at the back there, Koen Hermans, but already a mix-up, already a tangle. Not easy. Jerkins then, Compilati, another fantastic ride. Justin Kuban and Van der Wiel in there. Jake Brown and Joe Millard going through into 3rd place. So a good start for the young British crew, and they would only improve on that. They were going so well. Kuban and Van der Wiel, with Van Lukenen now up to 4th place. So Marvin Van Lukenen, Ben van den Berger had another good start in race 2. It was just so exciting, and we thought this track would not be rideable. Well, I could not have been more wrong. It turned out to be really close, tight racing, big jumps. There weren't many of them, but they were big jumps. Jake Brown and Van Lukenen going at it, hammer and tongs, but Van Lukenen knew what he had to do. He wanted to take more points out of the lead. A bit of a wave there from Joe Millard as Van Lukenen scorched past. Van Lukenen looking across on the inside of Compilati and Chopin, made the French passengers sit up, but they were through already on an absolute charge. Van Lukenen and Ben van den Bogart were up into 2nd place, and they must have known, with Arna Jerkins and Robbie Bax both nursing injuries, that it would only be a matter of time before they could get past their young countrymen. Partisan crowd here, of course. We were in Belgium at the Vineyard Circuit, just carved out on a farmer's field. Unbelievable. And the circuit really dug out. When we came here on Friday, it was covered with grass, just like the ground in the foreground. But after so many laps of racing sidecars over it, Jerkins, a look over the shoulder, saw the defending champions go past. Compilati still in 3rd, but he was about to fall victim a bit later on in the race to Jake Brown and Joe Millard, who were pushing so very hard. Bax and Stupilis, the red plate holders, again, not the best of starts for them. They had to work for it. So many of the crews were having to come from the back. Koen Hermans was having an absolute shocker this weekend, and Jerkins was in fact able to rescue a few points on Hermans, who was sitting in 3rd coming here.
Jake Brown and Joe Millard having to use all their track craft to stay ahead of Etienne Bax and Kasper Stupilis. The men were machines here. No less so than they've been at most of the races we've seen this year. 13 victories for Etienne Bax and Kasper Stupilis, but they were denied victory in the opening race here in Goik because that went to Van Luckenen and Van den Bogart. But they moved through on Jake Brown and Joe Millard, relegating the left-handed sidecar number 28 crew. Compilati then having a bit of a fight. Could he get the better of Julian Veldman or vice versa? Veldman actually getting the better of Compilati. Julian Veldman and Glenn Janssens, the number 5 crew. The immensely tall, youngest man in the field, Julian Veldman, the number 5 rider. Anyone out there who knows about this sport will realise the rigours of riding in these ruts, and the deeper the ruts get, as Koen Hermans, making his way up from a shocking start, is already eating into the front of the pack, and he's on the back of Gert van Verven and Kenny van Galen. Big Dutchman swinging wide. Hermans needed no second invitation. He and Nicola Muset were through and in pursuit then of the Italian, who I have to say Compilati probably burned himself out in that magnificent ride to third place in the opening race, and was feeling the effects of a long, hard weekend here in Goik, as indeed we all were. Stuart Brown and Josh Chamberlain making their way up as well. The 888 outfit with the distinctive yellow helmets, father to Jake Brown, and now being led in the race. I won't call him precocious, but certainly a youngster he is, and he stamped his mark on this season in the later races, and there is no doubt that when we burst onto the 2020 season, Jake Brown and Joe Millard are going to be prominent names in the 2020 World Sidecarcross Championship. Stuart Brown and Josh Chamberlain currently sitting 5th in the table. Knew they needed good points here. Van Verven was of no consequence in the points, but they wanted to get past him in this race to maximise their score, and that they did, with aplomb. The track here in the Vineyard Circuit digging out really, really deeply on the bends. The bikes had to go round in rails on some of these ruts, and they were hard ruts too. There weren't many stones, fortunately, unlike Roggenburg, where the stones were coming back like bullets in the previous round, and many of these crews were sporting bruises all over their upper body, particularly the right-facing shoulder and arms of the passengers, or left-facing in some cases, as we see Josh Chamberlain now left-facing with his forearm and shoulder out in front. Talking about out in front, it was another impeccable job by Marvin van Luckenen and Ben van den Bogart, already sensing that they had victory in the bag here. Double victory, overall victory, and they would claw back 6 points on the series leaders and red plate holders, Etienne Bax and Kasper Stupilis. Fabulous, fabulous result for Van Luckenen and Van den Bogart, 10 seconds ahead of Bax and Stupilis. Waiting for the third place to come over the line, and it was indeed Jake Brown and Joe Millard, some 32 seconds behind the race leaders, but it mattered not. Another brilliant ride for them, and they were actually to finish third overall. There, the race result, the overall result. You can see Jake Brown behind Bax, so that's the podium overall. Veldman, Compilati, Veldman did well from the back of the field. Wilkinson, Dierkens, Varick, Brown, and the Kush is 10th. Well, we saw Etienne Bax's lead eroded somewhat today. We saw Compilati take a first podium, and indeed a first overall podium for Jake Brown and Joe Millard.
Yeah, I can't really believe it yet. It's too good to be true. But yeah, no, the track was good all weekend for us, really. You know, we didn't expect this, but yeah, just kept going and enjoyed it.
You
had some struggles this season with technical side of it, but I mean, it's very well deserved. Did you think at the beginning of the season that you could be here?
No, to be honest with you, we was hoping a top 10, maybe 1 or 2. And now, yeah, the podium is just out of this world. So yeah, happy.
2 strong rides by Etienne Bax and Kasper Stupelis, but they gave away 6 points today to Van Lukenen. They still have a 65-point lead, but I know Etienne Bax, he likes winning. Second is not good enough.
It was overall, I did not enjoy the second moto. I don't know, maybe the setup was not okay for us, or I just did not enjoy the race, and took quite long. And yeah, it is what it is, 2 times second, and hopefully we can finish it next week.
But home ground, double win, overall victory, and 6 points eating into the lead of Bax. You cannot take it away from Marvin Van Lukenen and Ben van den Boogaard.
It's unbelievable. We had a lot of problems this year, and also in the starts. And this weekend, yeah, first race whole shot, second race not the whole shot, but still okay. And yeah, we fight her back to the leading. And yeah, halfway the race, we had a clutch problem. It was for sure not so easy, but we take the double win, and yeah, we are very happy.
Standings then, 65 points now, that advantage that Bax has over Van Lukenen. Koen Hermans still there. Arne Dierkens is not going to eat into 3rd place. 4 races to do it in though. Stuart Brown in 5th, and a strong 5th from Varick. Sanders still not riding, we'll see him next year. Compilati did himself a power of good, as indeed Jake Brown, into the top 10, 9th place. And Valentin Giraud recovering in hospital. Best wishes, stay strong Valentin. Veldman, Gert van Verven, Santemans, they all rode well. No Willemsen this weekend. The Koosjes continue to impress. Well, what a Belgian Grand Prix it was. We've got 4 races ahead of us in the 2019 season. From here in 1 week's time we go to Guignol in France, and then the grand finale in Rudelsburg in Germany. It is just amazing. What a great season we've had. Join us in France, please, in 1 week's time. From me, Barry Nutley, thanks for being with us. We love your company. Without you, we don't have a programme. God bless you all. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week. But from me now, bye-bye.
Willemsen is 10 times the world champion. Bax and Stupelis, they've done it again. Unbelievable. Marvin Van Lukenen certainly deserves the red plate. And what an incredible sport this is. Fast, high and spectacular. Unbelievable.